Hey, folks, welcome to Kaiser's Castle. That was Axion Ghost. It's game time. Link will be in the description. Take a seat on my big orange couch. Grab yourself a coffee, tea, soda, or adult libation. And take relaxing time. I'm going to do a nice little talk with a brother of mine named Kimi. And he's from a place a little further on the west side than I am. And I'm sure you'll tell. And I'll just let him introduce himself to you guys. How's it going over there in your neck of the woods there, Kimmy, brother?
Hey, thank you for inviting me to your show. And yeah, it's going well. I'm a bit tired, but I will watch the debate today. So I will stay awake for this late hour. And yeah, I'm excited for this show as well.
Yep, it'll be fun. And what are your thoughts on the debate? That'd be an interesting way to kick off. Just now, this gentleman's talk coming to us from Europe, so it's nice to get a person's debate that's unbiased, or thoughts on this debate that's unbiased. And why don't you let the audience know what your thoughts are, brother?
Well, I think this Harris person is a very kind of dangerous person, so she will be also like more kind of the president instead of the real candidate, and this is why this might be interesting. Like if that turns out to be like if the Democrat gets voted or elected, we can see definitely like probably like in the midterms probably a switch to Harris, but yeah, that's the point because this is so interesting, and yeah, I want to see what she's all up, and if she has this green new agenda in her and all the social radical left ideologies, and if um, if Pence can name some topics or some data that Trump didn't name, like accomplishments in data form or numbers.
Oh yeah, I mean Trump's made many accomplishments, and this is, folks. Everybody out there knows I'm a political atheist, pretty much, but I do support this president because anytime you have one person who both the left and the right despise, they're probably doing something right. Briefly touched on earlier in conversation with Kimmy about Gina Haspel, who daggone it now turns out was London CIA station chief, and it's already broken, so it's common knowledge. And so she had full knowledge of the whole Christopher Steele thing that broke and the false charges brought on Trump. So there you go. I mean, anytime both parties in the U.S. hate somebody, they're probably doing something right. Your thoughts on that, Kimmy?
Yeah, exactly. That's the got that something to that. Yeah.
Yep. He's plus he's I mean, it's something of note when several European leaders have recommended Trump to come in to get a what's that Nobel Peace Prize. I think it's 3 times now he's been nominated. When Obama got it for just being president, for showing up. So I think that's kind of funny, and all the pushback the Dems did. I don't remember the Republicans ever giving, and this shows you how the two parties are one party. If they like the guy, and I don't remember the Republicans pushing back on Obama's Nobel Peace Prize at all. Do you remember that, Kimmy?
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, like maybe some little voices that you've heard criticism, but he was like the light bringer back then, and was celebrated everywhere, especially in Europe. He had this pre-speech at in Berlin before he got elected, and they all already treated him as the new messiah, kind of Kennedy person that he wasn't or isn't at all. And yes, so
Oh, I like the first term you used, brother. Lightbringer, another name for Satan, the devil. Just a little
yeah,
double entendre there. No meaning behind it. No, he was a divider, not a uniter. That's for sure. Trump's tried to be a uniter, but the left has made sure to keep that well under pushed down. To try to assume that the man's disavowed uh, white supremacy and all that stuff. I believe it was even with Mike on the first debate. The last Mike, why am I his Mike Wallace? His daddy used to be on ABC. He's the Fox guy who moderated this last debate, and he's also the moderator of the first debate Trump was in against Hillary. And he asked that same exact question. People go look it up on YouTube. They haven't pulled it down yet. Never believe me. Always fact check me. But I find it funny. He's like, you've never asked or you've never answered the question. Now, he's done it during the debate with Wallace. Chris Wallace. It's Mike Wallace's son. My apologies. I will lead with my mistakes as soon as I realize it. Mike Wallace was Chris Wallace's daddy. Anyways, so the next thing that I'll say is that then he got asked after Charlottesville the same question: do you disavow? He disavowed it. He's disavowed it like probably 6 times. I can't remember the name of the website, but you can find a mix, and it's put to music too. How many times he's denounced it, and so then of course, Chris Wallace has to bring it up again this last debate. And I'm sure that that'll be a distraction that Harris will use, seeing as she's, I believe her dad, I could get this wrong, it's either dad or mom, I could have it mixed up one or the other way. Her dad or mom was a Jamaican who came from a line of slave owners. This is Harris's daddy or mom. And her dad came from India, or mom, one of the opposite one, came from India. And we all know that a lot of Indians happen to be pretty, racist, racially charged. And yet somehow she's considered a black woman. It's probably because she's a woman of color, just like Obama was biracial, So I always thought Herman Cain would have been probably the first great black president, but sadly he's past this mortal coil. Your thoughts on that, Kimmy? I would really enjoy to hear that.
well, I think it's like it's a selling point, selling your skin color for to brand yourself as kind of good or bad or something like that in this whole BLM narrative thing, and and I find that to be like really a disgusting thing, that we are what's happening in 2020. I felt like we're long, like we're behind this, like this is gone. But I think most people on the left and are using these kind of things, racism, and to gain their goals, and proclaim that someone is bad or good, So we should always like see what someone does and do and not how he looks, and yeah, what color he has, or it doesn't really matter at all. And yeah, it's people are like, sadly, many people are dumbed down and just got emotional attached to all these things that won't matter, especially like if you compare it, really, like look at the data and the numbers that Trump had. He has like the best data on people from all spectrum. Like immigrants had good jobs, black had good jobs, best in years. Asia had best jobs in years. Everyone got employed and had good situation before February. Yeah, so I mean, like, Trump is not really a racist at all. He was like grown up in all the New York scene. He was like Democrat himself, or he was like he was looking for a third party, and yeah, they just label him as that. I mean, like, it's of course, but that's the game we play, and hopefully this month will bring out a good outcome. They're not that neutral, as you said. I'm more kind of on Trump's side because I fear of more violence and more issues to the American people, and also to the European people, of course. After you have the issues here, the things are boiling up and rising up.
Oh yeah, thanks to Hillary's giant mistake of going into Libya, Europe saw a major increase in their population from people from of all different vibrancies. That it really hasn't turned out as well as the European Union had planned. But that's a whole nother show, and we can get into that on another topic. But I see where you're coming from, and yeah, Trump always was a Manhattan business Democrat, and his daddy before him was. And he was looking for a third party. I remember back around the time Perot jumped in, Oprah asked Trump if he was going to run for president when she had him on her show. He must not have been such a big racist back then or up until the day he came down the escalator, because I remember Oprah had him on her show. He's was best friends with Al Sharpton, the shakedown artist. I don't know if you know about him. And Jesse Jackson gave him an award. So, you know, all the rappers wanted to be like him, the opulence, the actual, you know, complete opulence of the Trump name, the Trump Towers, Trump casinos, rapping about Trump vodka, Trump steaks. You know, that's the kind of stuff everybody... There was even a board game called Trump. So, plus his books. And he's always been open. That's one thing. He's always been open about his mistakes. He's written books. And he said, you know, this is how you play this game as a Manhattan businessman and realtor and builder. So, it's kind of funny how you see things twist and turn within... the political narrative on the left, and I don't think it's a quote unquote plot. What I do believe is it's journalists all go to the same schools pretty much, or at least the school of journalism, and it's a group mindset that they're taught nowadays, and they've been taught. They tried foisting it on me, but I'd already been in the Army and Marine Corps by the time I went to college. And I'll never forget, cultural Marxism, I saw it for what it was. It was creeping in back then, brother, in the mid-90s. And you could always tell that was... And some of the books, my wife was telling me about books that are banned. We happen to have all of them. But like Fahrenheit 451, that's a book that's banned. Animal Farm, 1984. I think I found a common thread, but before I go into that, there's some others too, like Catcher in the Rye. Anyways, Lady Chatterley's Lover, The Scarlet Woman. All these books are being banned, literally banned in the United States, from libraries. And your thoughts on that, Kimmy?
Where are they banned? Sorry, I have to ask.
They're banned, in my opinion, because Fahrenheit 451 was about destroying... the reason why it was called Fahrenheit 451 is that's the temperature in Fahrenheit that paper burns, and it was about book burning to get rid of people's knowledge of the past and whatnot. 1984, I believe, was banned because Winston, who was the protagonist in the story, he was all about redacting history. That was his job in the Ministry of Truth. 1984 was about the old adage, all pigs are equal, but some are more equal than others. And we see that with like BLM and the division bell that's been rung by the left. And they're not just ringing it, brother. They are smashing it with a GD sledgehammer. Lady Chatterling's Lover, and that's a little risque novel about a woman who gives herself completely to a guy. A lot more backstory to it. It's like I said, it's risque, and then of course the Scarlet Letter woman or Scarlet Woman. I can't remember what it is. I know it's the Scarlet something. It's not the Scarlet Pimpernel. That's a funny movie and a pretty good book. But anyways, that's pretty much what it is, man. And that's the common thread is those books allow a mind, especially a young reading mind, to see the lie behind cultural Marxism, critical theory, anything that says studies, race studies, women's studies, all these bullshit classes that the kids have to take now. Back then it was just called critical theory. And all that is nothing more than Foucault's, the French philosopher's BS, and he was a Marxist. It goes on and on. We can go left and right, up, down, center. But the point is, this is all, I think, being done to dumb down people. And I also think we're not going to talk, because this is going on YouTube, we're not going to talk about the reason why, the China thing. But what I will say is, I believe that to see, here's how I look at it. Our Constitution's very clear. Fourth Amendment, Fifth Amendment, all these things, First Amendment especially, right to assemble peaceably, the freedom of association, right to free speech, freedom of the press, those rights are guaranteed. Well, you're seeing some of that curbed because all of a sudden, people are illegally being jailed in their own homes. This is house arrest. And that's how it should be termed. And even the Michigan State Supreme Court ruled against Whitmer on her lockdowns. And it's illegal under our Constitution. No due process for this. And nobody's broken a law. So how can you get punished when you haven't broken a law? And it doesn't matter if a governor says, you have to do this, a mandate. It's an illegal mandate. They haven't broken a law to be put in house arrest. The other thing that really chaps me is this whole mask wearing thing. That's another way of inculcating and making people faceless drones. And that's my opinion on it. If you differ with it, brother, feel free to, because this is about your opinion. This is why I'm having you on, because you have a great opinion whenever we talk.
Well, first of all, about the books, yeah, it's definitely happened, and the selling point is like, people forgot, because like it wasn't so much talked about in all the schools, like the Third Reich and the Second World War, and people always watch the Nazis as the biggest enemies, and they forgot the Cold War, that was much more crazier. Like we were on the brink of total destruction, and all the communist parties and so on. How many people they killed? It's uh, nothing killed more people than communism did in the 20th century. So you should be really aware of those things, and most people have basically no idea, and you don't get it um, taught in school at all. They just look at one side and not at the other, right? So that's the issue with that. And another issue is also that the ideology that people feel like they're mistreated or they aren't treated fair enough. So in a sense, it's like you force those things, those ideas on those people because they got like alienated maybe where they wanted to work or like jobs got away and so on, and people got radicalized by on like I mean by design, like all these things, getting jobs away, progressing those ideas in school, making them like yeah, everyone has to be equal at all times. And now it's not even like equal is enough, like also like in feminism and so on, you see that most people want to um like the upper hand, like you see in the BLM movement. That's for me, it's a communism movement. You see, they want to have like control about everything. They want to oppress others, So also like in feminism, people women want to oppress others, and feminism was always about equality. Even this was founded by yeah, different big companies and so on that wanted to split the family, the family unit. So all those division things never turn out to be inequality. It always turns out to be someone else is in lead and someone else is going to suffer. So so this idea of communism or being equal is not, it's not working at all. So this for that. And the second topic was, sorry, I forgot the second question, second topic.
Oh, it's good that you touched on the oppression Olympics before we go back to that. Yeah, it's all about. Here's the messed up part about it. They preached. The professors are true believers in cultural Marxism. Some of them are Maoist, but not the majority. Most of them are Marxist. And so they've taught these kids, well, what do kids always want to do? They want to be edgy. They want to go one step beyond. So they're straight up Maoist. And Mao was a racist. And just like Fidel Castro and what's his name? Che Guevara, the one they wear their shirt on. They forget how many people, just because they were black, Che Guevara killed. Black Latinos. So, and Latinx or Latinas or whatever they call themselves nowadays, but Hispanic folks. Anyways, it's disgusting, and anywhere from 200 to 300 million, we can't get an exact number because China's long march, Mao's long march into communism, there's no way to get a good number on that. Nobody's been able to get a good number. I've never seen a good number, but the estimates are between 100 to 200 million Chinese were killed. That's almost two-thirds of it is just about two-thirds of the U.S. population, if it's 200 million. So they have no belief in life, and you see these people, and they're also, I see a big Jacobinian strain to them, where they're like the French Jacobins, especially when they had the Chaz chop and they erected their little guillotine. That thing was just like, oh, I see where you're going with this, and they are actually, I can't remember who said it, but it's a quote, and folks, look it up. I can't remember the guy who said it, and I'd love to give him the footnote credit to it, but I just can't remember, and I'm delving in my mind. But those who peer into the darkness looking for monsters should hope they don't see a mirror and realize they have become the thing that they despise, and they have become fascist, and in the true sense of the word. And these kids don't see it. So Antifa should just be called Fa, in my opinion, because they are Fa, and I don't care. Fa la 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 la. I don't care. Now the second part of that was about now I've mind dumped that, but I'm sure people will. I'm sure it'll come back to me during this conversation. We were talking about the roots of it, pretty much, and then we went into. Oh, you brought up the Cold War. That's something. Yeah, this is something I don't think I've ever touched on with you. You'll love this one. My son, during the Gulf War, they had 2 days in his high school to study on the Gulf War. And the second day, my son, after the first day, came in and said, "Hey, I told my teacher you were in the Gulf War." I was like, "Yeah, cool." He goes, I just got back from Iraq, I think. Maybe Afghanistan. I can't remember. Anyways, would you like to come in and lecture the class? So, yeah, I said, yeah, I'll come in. I'll bring some stuff. I've got a lot of stuff left over from my time in. And I brought some interesting stuff, for the kids to pick up, look at, and see. And anyway, so the kids come in, I tell them about the Gulf War. Anyway, so my son comes home. This is probably the next year sometime when I'd gotten back from somewhere else. I think I got back from Singapore, if I remember right. And Indonesia. Yeah, the Indonesian contract. And I had come back, and my son says, "Well, we're doing the Cold War this year." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, ask your teacher." I didn't get a call like I did the other time from the teacher or my son. So I was like, "Oh, okay, maybe he'll tell me, day after or something." My son said, "Oh, we're not on the Cold War anymore." 50 years, almost 50 years, the Cold War lasted, Kimmy, and they gave a day worth of lesson plan on it. That's it. And you being a European know the effects the Cold War has had and the ripple that it's had all through Europe. What a lot of people forget is Antifa was started back in the 20s after the people who started this in Germany, Antifascista Axion. That was actually started in Weimar, Germany, and those Germans later became, after the Second World War, the first leader was one of the leaders of Antifa. He was the General Secretary Counselor, and that is actually the first leader of Antifa. And of course, when the war broke out and they saw that they were losing, they all ran to the Soviet Union for protection. And of course, the Soviets brought them right back in when Germany collapsed, in East and West Germany, the divide of the wall. And that's exactly how it happened. And Honecker was involved in it, during that era. There's a lot of things that you can look at. Milke, that was the Stasi top general. Shit, he didn't die till like 2004 or 5 or 6, something like that, when Milke finally gave up the ghost. So, but the funny thing is, all Stasi officers, all German officers from the Second World War even, that were still alive back then, and a few that are still alive still, they're still getting paid by the German government. It's a dirty little secret. Their retirements are kept. And it's just one of those things. And a long time ago, I shared something. I won't get into it here because you know what it was. But those people are still active and screwing around. People forget, in Germany, Europe's Google headquarters is the old Stasi building. Google it if you don't believe me, folks. And the person who runs Alphabet Google's censorship in Europe, that woman is a former Stasi officer. Did you know that, Kimmy?
Yep. we talked about that, and also uh, you mean I don't know if you mean Annette Kahane or you mean someone else.
Say again. I'm sorry, you broke up a little bit, brother.
You mean Annette Kahane? She's ex Stasi infiltrator that yeah, worked against many people, and she's still in politics and has control about many things in Germany to this day. And she's basically a criminal, and nobody touches her.
Exactly, and some of the reason for that, and I've talked about this on another page that I had a whole 3-part breakdown, even wearing a goofy hat and saying goofy things. But the funny thing is, I try to make stuff, I used to try to make it funny and, you know, sport the fashion and everything, you know what's up. But the funny part about this, man, is you're right on who, but everybody forgets Angela Merkel. There was a book, it's written in German. Of course, you've probably read it, I've read it. I don't think there's an English version out there, folks, but you get a book called I'm Erika, and that's the German title. And that's about the youth of Angela Merkel and the FDJ and some of her dealings as a Stasi informant. And people forget, she is a physicist. She's not a dummy. Now, sadly, I say this out of respect for her. I actually met her a couple of times. Anyways, not gonna derail this conversation, but she has to have Parkinson's right now, man. The way she's shaking, you know, it's just I disagree with her, but you know, I don't wish that kind of stuff even on my worst enemy. You know what I mean, man?
Yeah, I think there's some many theories why she was shaking last year. She did it like 3 4 times, and she always said like, "Yeah, I didn't drink too much," and so on. And maybe it's panic attacks. Maybe it's too much pressure. Maybe it's like the the situation in Germany isn't good at all right now. You have like it's different than in the US. You still have like 90% German, native German people in Germany, and they are not happy with the situation right now with the left policy. And she implemented that. Actually, she came from the CDU, or she's CDU member, and CDU was the right wing
Of
party,
of
Christian
Democrat.
Democratic Union.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep. And CDU was founded. A lot of people don't know this. The last person after they got rid of the general secretaries, it was a female. She's the one who founded the CDU, Christian Democratic Union. And the funny part is, that was the only party other than the other party that was in power during the entire time of East Germany that East Germany had. So that's a funny little anecdote that a lot of people don't know outside of Germany is the CDU is a former East German, but it was a right-wing organization. And on the East German side, I mean, right of left. You understand what I mean, brother? Run with that for a second.
yeah. So all those things, like worked on for a long time, and they had normal policies till 2007 or 2008, before the financial crisis. And after the financial crisis, they changed all their policies more to the left, and even more all the time, more, and they lost so many people that voted for them. So there is another party that got created. They called AFD, and it's basically a replacement for the old CDU because it's all like just regular red wing policies, like more conservative, basically, and the CDU is just basically a left wing party right now. She transformed it into that, and yeah, people don't vote that anymore. I mean, like even the other left wing parties, people don't vote it anymore. So
Yep.
people vote the AFD, and AFD is the replacement, like I said, and hopefully that trend will continue. But I also can't see it like in the future that anything will happen. I think there must be. Germany is a crazy place that needs a complete overdue. You know, like you have to fix all this the situation and the political situation. Also, you're missing a peace contract since 75 years, and you need that to make other policies, you know, like
Yep.
and control all those former DDR and Russian guys, you know, like so. Well,
Yep.
I
Yep.
there is also there is also a trend, Kaiser. There is also a trend, and the trend looks like similar or kind of similar to the US. So you see a lot of uprising, and also people like are fed up with the situation, and they hit the streets. They don't have guns because guns are not allowed at all in Germany. So they're protesting peacefully against, you know, like it's different. It's protesting. It's not rioting, and they protest against the left wing government. So I see the left wing government is hitting very hard in the future, and I can see
Yep.
I can see a war coming probably.
I agree with you, brother. Here's the thing. That's AFD for the folks out there who don't know. Alternative for Deutschland, which is the alternative for Germany, instead of the CDU, because that was running rampant. Just for the American listeners, my German listeners, my brothers, you know, I know from Germany, all know this. So they're not getting anything new. But the one thing that's interesting you did bring up about that is there is a big backlash, and it kind of circles around with the protest. Oh, I do have one thing to say. Germans can have guns. There's just a difference in the way they can have it. They have to join a rod and gun club. They can take it home with them. I believe ammunition is kind of monitored. It's really controlled. And usually only veterans or people who are police generally tend to have the guns. But there are some civilian advocates and some sport shooters even that own their guns. I believe the slingshot guy on YouTube, I believe he broke down the German law exactly. He was the guy who started the YouTube union. I can't think of his name. I keep wanting to say Klaus, but that's not it. Folks, fact check me on that. He's the slingshot guy. Anyways, he did a whole video and showed his 357 Magnum pistol. He showed his rifles. So I mean, it's like England. My English brothers, they've owned guns, you know, and they don't have a lot of the stupid laws we do when they own a gun. As long as they you do have to get a license for it, but that's a typical European thing. Where in America we don't. But you bringing up the protest reminded me of the second point. It was about the forced lockdown, you know, for the China thing that we're not going to talk about, and the mask wearing to dehumanize people. And that was the second point that I forgot from our conversation earlier. If you want to delve into that now, brother, that'd be cool. If not, we can rock on with this topic.
Well, all those measurements that, yeah, that that's also kind of a communistic thing. It's like it's making everyone the same. Everyone is like you're losing your personality with this, and everyone looks the same, and you're losing your personal relationships with others in a communication sense, or when you buy cigarettes, or when you buy groceries, and everyone gets so divided, like and is scared from his neighbors and so on, and these kind of things are implemented absolutely by design, like it, like we're seeing here absolutely a hardcore culture revolution that is something between a culture revolution and a digital revolution as well, because everything is going to be like automatic soon, and the big recession will also hit the market soon. It's just matter of hours, days, or weeks, or months, but it's not far away.
I agree, brother. I agree totally, man. It's something to see, man. It does. It makes people faceless drones. It's playing hell with, and that's one of Black Lives Matter's tenets, is to destroy the nuclear family. And you have alcoholism, drug abuse, and spousal conflicts, or even boyfriend-girlfriend conflicts, or boyfriend-boyfriend or girlfriend-girlfriend conflicts, because people aren't made to sit at their house and work. Even though this, I'm afraid, the genie's out of the bottle. I think the people who are working from home, the companies have realized they can save money on their buildings. So the whole business thing, having a storefront's probably going to go the way of the dodo bird. Not up fully, but you know what I mean, figuratively. The ordering stuff from home, that's become the fashion. Just, a lot of the things societally that Europeans and Americans have always taken for granted, the ability to move freely with vehicles, the ability to go, especially, that was the one thing I liked about the EU, was the setup to where you didn't have to show your passport at every different country's entry point within the EU. That's
Schengen.
Yeah, the Schengen agreement. But that's the only thing I thought that was good. Back in the day, there was a band called CCP, and they had a song called United States of Europe. That was back in the Cold War, brother. It's a good song. I would play it on here for people to see or to listen to, but YouTube will take it down with a strike, or they'll monetize my thing, and I don't believe in monetizing my channel.
Have you listened to Oliver Janek when he got interviewed by Hesher?
Yes. Yes.
He has a book. He has a book, The United States of Europe. He took this all apart. So that's the long that plan is up since the end of the Second World War. The centralization of everything. I mean, like it had to come with some benefits, but at the end it will just centralize power to one class, basically.
Well, it's nothing more than Hitler's plan. This is no joke. I mean, people can look. Webelsburg and Berlin and all that area, it was actually supposed to be built like in the shape of a spear and pointing towards the east for Lebensraum. and that's what it was supposed to be for. And the headquarters wasn't going to be where it is now in Belgium. And excuse me, why am I mind dumping? Where the EU is located, Jesus criminy, and I can't remember. Anyways, Kimmy, you can say where.
It's in Brussels.
Brussels, Belgium. Yeah, I don't know why I kept wanting to say Antwerp, which I knew wasn't right. Oh man, I hate getting old. But the funny part is, to me, is that you brought this up also when you were talking about 75 years without a peace deal. A lot of Americans, including me, okay, and you know how many times I've gone back and forth to Europe, and even when I was stationed there, I just assumed, I'd never heard anybody bring this up before. I figured we had a treaty and, you know, a peace plan and a cease, you know, not a ceasefire like we do over in North Korea. I thought it was just like Japan. We signed a treaty. The Germans run their own thing, just like the Japanese do. Because when I was there, remember, it was a Cold War, man. You didn't dick around with the Polizei. They will grab you up and snatch you around. They didn't care if you were American or a soldier or anything. And the one thing about it is I just always assumed that. And then one time on one of my visits back, a brother of mine pulled me to the side and he goes, you know, there's never been, because I said something about a treaty. And then a friend of ours said, yeah, he's right. And then I researched it. And no, we've never signed a treaty. Germany's not. It's like, as my brother put it, Germany has become another state to the United States. And you know, not a lot of people in America know that, brother.
Yeah, I guess so. They thought like Germany is one of the unfree country in the world, you know, like in these kind of terms, you know, like you don't have like kind of rights you don't have a Bill of Rights, you don't have a constitution, you know, like these things Germany had, you know, like before the First World War, you know, and after all those years and so on, and after now the Second World War 75 years ago, there was never implemented again. Germany wasn't offered to have also a peace. There was never, you know, like there was never like a peace contract between between the winners, you know, like and the losers, Germany. So Germany, many Germans are still asking for. The peace contract. They're asking the Americans, especially, and the Brits, the French and the Russians to give them their peace. But it looks kind of harsh, you know, and also the politics there likes the current situation, you know. It's in their favor to control the people, but honestly, everything can happen right now. You know, like if Trump gets re-elected, he may be going to notice what's going on there, and maybe something will change in the right direction, because the Nazis are long gone, and Germany is back on its track, like 100 years ago or more, and they just want to be free as the Americans, and they basically are similar to the Americans.
Yep, put under the hill. That's something that's interesting that you brought up. That reminds me, one of the reasons why I guess I didn't realize. In 91, when I got back from the Gulf War, I went up with a buddy of mine. I'll just call him J-Dog. He knows who he is. We went to a place called Alpine Village in California. It was a place, it's off of off the 405. Is it Hawaiian Gardens? It's near Hawaiian Gardens. and there's a place that also has a flea market, an outdoor market outside of it. And inside Alpine Village, they have a German grocery store where you can get all the good meats and everything like that. Nice restaurants, a couple of them. An old museum, like where you can buy different things if you wanted them, and a T-shirt place. I only liked the T-shirt place, and there was a model store too where they had Roco. I believe they're made near your neck of the woods. And anyways, Roco is like these miniature cars, like military vehicles, and that way we could do tactical things and design it with 172 actual looking like U.S. military soldiers, not like the BS toy soldiers. And you could actually, like, we did an EPW camp to scale, enemy prisoner of war processing camp. It was pretty cool. Mark V. Lonsdale of STTU took a picture of it. I asked him if he still had it. He said, I probably got it somewhere, but he couldn't find it. But anyways, the point is, I bought a T-shirt there, and it said, "Ein Reich und frei deutsches Vaterland," which means one right and free German fatherland. And it had the East German flag. It has the map of Germany, the division of East and West Germany, has the flag on one side of East Germany, and then the West Germany, the DDR, and the FRG, Federal Republic of Germany, and the Deutsches Democratic Republic of Germany, German Democratic Republic. Anyways, what it meant was the integration, the fall of the wall, one right and free German one right and free Germany, basically, because they call their land a fatherland, not a motherland. And they've always done that since the ancient times. And it now lives, my mother and my wife made a quilt for me when I returned from Iraq in 06. While my mom was dying with cancer. And anywho, they put that T-shirt image, just cut the T-shirt part off, but they kept that image, and that's sewn into the quilt. And so I still have it, but it's just not a T-shirt anymore. It wouldn't have fit me anyways, trust me. And so I guess that's some of the propaganda that maybe I bought into, that I thought that Germany was free. And that's something a lot of people don't realize, man. At least Americans. They just don't realize that Germany's not as free as it should be. But I think in the beginning it was kept that way because they were afraid of a resurgence of a group they didn't like, and we just got done fighting a war with. But that group's pretty much dead and gone. You know what I mean, bro?
It's totally. I mean, like, I think the way to go would be like to totally westernize Germany, and it is. It doesn't. Germany doesn't look to the east at all. Never. After the wall went down, it never did. It always like focused on the U.S. And if the U.S. is not going to intervene and help Germany to get their grip away from probably Russia and China, this will not end in a nice way. Then the German people are alone, and then they have to fight against their government, So there's many plans already from China and other countries to grab the power there, the power vacuum. So there are still many soldiers there, but the US is kind of on a hold situation, and but like we saw many things the last 4 years. Like I can definitely see this happen. Like and German people are very loyal, and they like the Americans, and what they gave them, and also the style of living, like it's extremely similar. So yeah, that's it's a there's a small chance, but they need the help, from outside. I don't know if they can do it alone. I guess if they do it alone, it will be like yeah, it would be like a war between the people.
Yeah, it'll be like Weimar Germany redo. I agree with you, brother.
Yep.
Yep. With street clashes, because people forget Antifa. We had to deal with them, and they forget how they were funded during the Cold War. Man, East Germany funneled a lot of money along with the Soviet Union, funneled a lot of money and intelligence experts into the West, and they ran and helped groups. Besides, everybody knows about Baader Meinhof Gang, German Red Army faction, all these different terrorist organizations that were in Germany during the time of the Cold War. What they forget, unfortunately, is those were like forward operating people, small cells, so that if the Russians came in, they would have people familiar with the terrain and the local areas. They were absolutely communist. And those same people and members of those groups would be out there in the streets marching against the Federal Republic of Germany, constantly rabble rousing. And they'd go also to the military bases and surround, like, protest nuclear places that had nukes. They couldn't get too far or anything. The Polizei'd be out there and be arresting them like it was cool. They used to have VW wagons, the Polizei did, and they would just load them up, man. Load them up and take them down. It was kind of funny. Anyways, getting back on topic. So it's kind of interesting, your perspective on this. I know you're not exactly in Germany, but you're near enough that you know what's going on, and you've talked with the gentleman on Hesher's show, which is the Boiler Room. Folks out there, I always shout out Boiler Room when I can. And if you've listened to the Boiler Room, you've heard Kimi before. And I'm a big fan of the Boiler Room. Got there through listening to Jay Dyer. And he would co-stream it. And I don't know, you want to talk about how you came to the Boiler Room, brother?
Same as you, through Jay Dyer. So I had some topics that were interesting me, like some spiritual topics, some religious topics that came together with political things, and I searched some cross-platform where you can see all those topics discussed in a melting pot. And so you got the name Boiler Room, and so I started to listen to that, and found it to be attractive like 5 years ago or something like that. I stick to it. Of course, I did breaks and so on, but I love the community. I love those people, and hopefully it will grow more in the future.
Oh, I agree. It's a class act and good people. Actually, it's kind of like a family. You know how we all discuss things, and it's just a really nice place for people to go. There's no real. The cool thing is everybody calls themselves. It's a social rejects club because everybody doesn't disagree. You had people like Jay Dyer, uh, complete Christian. What do you call Orthodox Christian? And then you had the extreme of Infidel Farrell, who was a Muslim but now an atheist, and they would have spirited debates on it where they disagree, and then they'd also agree to disagree, and they'd still love each other. And that's some of the thing about the Boiler Room that makes it unique. Nobody's pressing an agenda, but there is. It's a foment of real talk like we used to have in the 80s. Would you agree with that, brother?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the best way to do it. And I think that's the best way to do it. And I think that's the best way to do it. And I think that's the best way to do it. And I think that's the best way to do it. And I think that's the best way to do it. And I think that's the best way to do it. And I think that's the best way to do it. And I think that's the best way to do it. And I think that's the best way to do it. And I think that's the best way to do it. And I think that's the best way to do it. And I think that's the best way to do it. And I think that's the best way to do it. And I think that's the best way to do it. And I think that's the best way to do it. And I think that's the best way to do it. And I think that's the best way to do it. And I think that's the best way to do it. And I think that's the best way to do it. And I think that's the best way to do it. And I think that's the best way to do it. And I think that's the best way to do it. And I think that's the best way to do it. And I think that's the best way to do it. And I think that's the best way to do it. And I think that's the best way to do it. And I think that's the best way to do it. And I think that's the best way to do it. And Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, like you need to have like this thing where you can sit down with a couple of people and have a good discussion. You don't have to agree on everything, but the general, like discussion could lead into something positive or something agreeable, if it's even if it's just a small thing, and then and let everyone speak and have their opinion. I'm and that's, I think Boiler Room is all about that, to let people have their opinion and speak out, and just chill out. Even if you have crazy ideas and so on, you're welcome to join there and speak with each other and make friends, and yeah, agree to disagree with each other. I mean, like that's a key point of living together, and that's something they robbed the people of, like they took this away, like someone that doesn't have the same opinion as you is your enemy, and that's, I'm sorry, I have to swear, that's a fucking lie. And people have to be aware of that. And we, I always disagree with others. I always disagree with myself, even. So
Yep.
we always learn and we grow, and um, we have to give everyone their space to learn and understand each other.
Everybody has the right to be wrong and the right to be right. And if it's wrong in my mind, maybe in 2, 3 years I'll be like, wow, that's actually right. It all depends. Your mind should be open, but not so open that your brains fall out. And I always worry whenever I see echo chambers, whether it's on the right or left, and that's a problem. I have my viewpoints, and I'm sure a lot of people on the BR disagree with me to a point. I've been lucky enough to have Hesher on for 3 equipment shows where we just talked about gear, because I'm sort of a gear queer. Everybody knows that. I've collected shit since the Cold War, my first era. And I've got shit hanging out in a Konex box. I've done a show on my Konex box. And out of the Boiler Room, I actually met a really good dude that I did a couple shows with him. I found out he was an amateur radio guy like me. And there's just a whole bunch of people that you meet in a place like that where we don't have to agree. And little did I know that guy was on another thread that I was on years ago, back in the day, basically almost when it first started, and that was called Black Flag Cafe, and it was run by Robert Young Pelton. And I'm trying to remember when I joined it. I think it was like 2006 or 7. And it was just a message board, and you would have people like me or people not like me. I know several journalists that are on it. Robert's a journalist and author, among a few other things. Um, he started it, and people, like, the longest thread on it is about watches. What's your favorite watch? And I did several posts on the first watch I bought in the military. It was $17 or something like that at the PX. It was a Timex. Guess what? It's still running, and I still have it. It's just little things like that, and that's where I cut my teeth on the internet, pretty much. And it was kind of interesting. I think it was 2006 when I joined, because I hadn't gotten into. My mother had just passed, and then I think a month or two after she passed, I got on with immigration and customs. So yeah, it was 2006 when I got on there. So, but yeah, it was the same way, man. People disagree without being disagreeable. That was just kind of the thing. Your thoughts?
Yep, I think we have to relearn that. I mean, like that's common sense. It's like the thing like we when you went out and you shouldn't have to be scared that someone is shooting you in your back or stabbing you or is robbing you or feeling safe around people, not always have a toxic climate around there, even if you disagree with others. I mean, yeah, that's a big thing, 2020, and I think we can get better at that again. I mean, like, but it still will be like a long way, but there is definitely hope, and there is definitely good people as we met all the time.
I agree wholeheartedly, brother. That's one thing about civility, man. Somehow we confused uh, words as violence and violence as nothing more than an expression of protest. That's not right. That's not what it is. You know, protest is not me using force. Protest is peaceably assemble with others and not trying to force my opinion, but maybe holding a sign, maybe yelling, maybe rabble rousing a little bit, but not breaking people's businesses, not destroying your own neighborhoods, which most of these people that are doing it aren't destroying their own neighborhood. They travel around the U.S. like the merry pranksters. They think it's a game. They're flipping LARPing. And the other thing is, words don't mean anything. You think when somebody calls me names as an Italian, you know, the slurs that they throw at me, a half Italian, you think that bothers me? Nah. I've lived with that, you know, since everybody in my community where we grew up, you know, me and my twin sister. I've heard it all. It doesn't bother me. You can't shame me. You can't, you know, to me, I feel unbreakable because what are you going to do? Tell my wife something? She knows everything. So, you know, they can eat a dick, in other words. You know what I'm saying, brother?
Exactly, you have to be cool, like don't get involved into personal attacks. Always like distance yourself if you can. Sometimes of course, you get angry, but then you have to, yeah, calm down again and be reasonable and fight on another level, not on that one. I mean, like, yeah, just stay cool.
There was a funny thing when I was a kid that I was told by my uncle. I'll never forget it. He said, "You ever notice when two people are arguing, there's a point where nobody knows who started it, nobody knows who's right or wrong. Both people just look like idiots." That's the truth. You know, when they start getting heated and everything, and you know what I mean.
Exactly. Then that's the right time then to 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 um to to reach out with your hand and finish the issue, because there is no issue. Then you can work together, and do something positive.
Exactly, brother. Is there anywhere else you want to take the show for? This is your show. I know we've both been talking equally, but it's been a lively conversation. I've liked it.
Yeah, pretty much. I liked it. Yeah, I think debates is starting soon, and thank you for inviting me again. It was really we touched some good points there, very positive, and yeah, I would like to do it again if you invite me again, and yeah.
It would be my pleasure. Maybe we'll do it on PSN. I know that'll be early your time, but PSN Radio, which is where I'm at normally on Sundays from 12 to 1 o'clock, and that's Castle Talk Radio on SoundCloud. You guys can find it there. Well, I guess we're going to close this out, and as you guys are finishing up your coffee, tea, soda, or adult libation, and you're getting your butts off my big orange couch, I'll slowly raise the drawbridge, and I'm gonna play an outtake song. And with that being said, shuff out.